Our schools are working to prevent and reduce waste in compliance with California law. This training briefly covers what you need to know about our district procedures. In this video, we will cover the following topics: requirements for schools to be compliant with California's waste laws, expectations for staff, the 3-bin system, sorting waste properly, and preventing contamination. Let's begin. Why should we prevent and reduce waste at school? California requires schools to recycle, compost, and prevent waste through a number of laws. These laws aim to minimize waste's harmful effects on our natural environment, human health, and climate. When we put organic materials, like food, paper, and plant waste in our trash, it ends up rotting in the landfills and emitting methane. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change and pollutes the air we breathe. In California, schools must fulfill the following requirements. They must recycle and compost using a labeled, color-coded 3-bin system to separate recyclables and organics from landfilled materials. They must also recover edible food. This involves utilizing a food share table and donating excess edible food to recovery organizations. Finally, schools must train employees and students to sort waste properly, prevent contamination, and implement food recovery. Now we can discuss the expectations for different campus stakeholders in preventing and reducing waste. The district office is responsible for centralizing compliance efforts across facilities, reporting outcomes, and providing equipment and training to schools. School administrators are expected to lead behavior modification on their campus and educate staff and students to use the 3-bin system and food share tables. Teachers should model behavior for students by using bins properly, monitoring the bins in their classroom, and providing information to their students. Custodians are responsible for transferring bin contents to the correct recycling, organics, or landfill dumpsters that are emptied by the waste hauler. And lastly, students are expected to sort their own waste properly by following the guidance provided to them. Some people may think that everything to do with waste is the custodian's responsibility. So let's take a closer look at what is and is not the role of the custodian. Custodians are responsible for keeping the 3 waste streams separate while they transfer them from the bins around campus to the dumpsters. Custodians should also take a quick look in each bin to check for contamination. If the bin contains more than minimal contamination, the custodian should discard all bin contents in the landfill dumpster. Importantly, it is not the role of custodians to remove contamination from the bins, sort other people's trash, prevent contamination by other people, or achieve participation from staff and students. Every person on campus is responsible for their own waste. Like custodians, other staff members are not responsible for removing contamination from bins or sorting other people's trash. Staff members should educate students about the 3-bin system and model proper sorting. They should monitor student behavior and use appropriate incentives or enforcement as determined by their site. Now let's take a look at what preventing and reducing waste looks like in action. Let's start with the 3-bin system, which includes a blue bin for recycling, a green bin for organics, and a gray or black bin for landfill waste. As required by law, these bins must be placed together as a unit in locations where food is prepared or consumed. They must also be color-coded and labeled. Not all locations require a 3-bin system. In some locations, you may only need 2 bins or 1, depending on the type of waste. 3-bin stations are placed where food is prepared or consumed, including the cafeteria or lunch areas, kitchen, and staff lounge. A 2-bin system that includes recycling and landfill bins is appropriate in locations where food is not typically prepared or consumed, such as classrooms, offices, and hallways. A landfill bin is appropriate in places where there is not typically recyclable or organic waste, such as restrooms. Let's take a look at what goes in each bin. Blue recycling bins are for dry and empty recyclable materials such as paper and cardboard, hard plastic containers like bottles, tubs, and cups, aluminum, glass containers, and milk cartons. Green organics bins are for food waste of any kind, and food-soiled paper, including napkins, paper towels, paper trays, and plates. And the gray or black landfill container is for everything else. This includes soft plastics like bags and wrappers, small plastics like utensils and straws, styrofoam, and miscellaneous items. If you're unsure where an item goes, throw it in the landfill bin. Remember, when in doubt, throw it out. Sorting rules are location-specific, so these rules may be different at school and home, especially if you live in another city or zip code. Another component of preventing and reducing waste is the food share table. This is a location in the cafeteria or eating area where students can return unopened or unbitten items from their school lunch. Other students are welcome to take items from this table to eat at lunch or take room temperature items for later. Remaining items at the end of lunch may be able to be reserved another day or donated. The food share table helps ensure every student gets enough of what they like to eat while reducing waste. Now let's talk about contamination. Contamination happens when we put the wrong things in the recycling or organics bins. When there's too much trash in these bins, the waste hauler will have to discard the entire batch of recycling or organics, causing additional landfill waste. That's why it's essential that students and staff receive proper training. So how much contamination is too much? It's important that we keep contamination to a minimum for our materials to be processed properly. If a bin contains more than minimal contamination, custodians are instructed to discard all the bin's contents in the landfill dumpster. On the left side of the screen, we can see an organics bin with little to no contamination. In the center, we can see an organics bin with a small or moderate amount of contamination. On the far right, we can see an organics container with too much contamination. Custodians should discard all contents from this bin. Just like the organics bin, contamination in the recycling bin must be kept to a minimum. Here we see little or no contamination on the left side of the screen, a small amount of contamination in the center, and too much contamination on the right. We can prevent contamination by making sure all students and staff know how to sort properly. Each school takes a different approach to educating their campus community. Some schools conduct training class by class, or at assemblies. Others create media like announcements, videos, and posters, or do ongoing programs like bin monitoring or incentives. You can find more information about school waste laws on CalRecycle's website. You can also find a complete toolkit of waste resources for schools, including training, signage, and more at gogreeninitiative.org/resources. This concludes our training video. Thank you for your participation as we work to comply with state laws, reduce our impact on the environment, and help our students contribute and thrive in a changing world.